Hello, friend. Welcome to Science for Sleep. Whether you have been here many nights before, or you are finding this quiet corner for the very first time, this is a place to slow down, learn something gentle, and let the day slowly fall away. Tonight, we are going to spend time with one of the most familiar animals in the human world. An animal requested by a viewer named Artist Witch Tarot not long ago. The chicken. It may be standing in a farmyard, scratching at dry straw with its feet. It may be walking through a backyard garden, tilting its head at a beetle in the grass. It may be resting in a wooden coop at dusk, with its feathers tucked close and its flock settling nearby. Or it may be so familiar from grocery stores, kitchens, eggshells, cartoons, and breakfast plates that it almost disappears from notice. But the chicken is not a simple animal. It is one of those creatures that becomes more surprising the longer we look at it. Beneath the soft feathers and small bright eyes is a body with a very ancient story. Birds are the living descendants of theropod dinosaurs, the same broad group of two-legged dinosaurs that once moved through prehistoric forests and floodplains. So in a calm and very real way, the chicken is not just a barnyard bird. It is part of the surviving branch of the dinosaur family tree. A small, warm, feathered dinosaur, standing quietly in the dust. And that is only the beginning. The domestic chicken most likely came mainly from the red junglefowl, a wild bird that still lives in parts of South and Southeast Asia. Red junglefowl move through forest edges, bamboo thickets, and leaf litter, searching for seeds, fruit, insects, and tiny animals hidden near the ground. They can fly, but not like swallows or geese crossing long open skies. Their flight is usually short and sudden, just enough to escape danger or reach a branch at night. That simple detail helps explain something many people wonder. Chickens are birds, but they live mostly with their feet on the earth. If you enjoy these quiet journeys, you're welcome to subscribe. And if it feels natural, to leave a comment sharing where you're listening from tonight. It helps others find their way to this calm corner of the world, one sleepy traveler at a time. The quiet continues here, just as it is. Long before chickens filled farms across the world, their ancestors lived much closer to the forest. Then humans began growing grain. In places such as ancient Southeast Asia, early rice fields and stored crops may have created a new kind of meeting place. A wild bird that once searched the forest floor could now find food near the edge of a village. People may have noticed that these birds were useful, watchful, and easy to keep nearby. The change did not happen in one dramatic moment. There was no single day when the chicken suddenly became domestic. It was slower than that. Generation by generation, the birds that tolerated people could stay closer. The ones that fed near homes could survive. The ones that nested, followed, and bred near human settlements slowly became different from their wild relatives. And from that quiet beginning, chickens traveled with humans across islands, roads, ports, farms, and empires. They became one of the most widespread birds on Earth. Today, there are many billions of chickens alive at any given time. More than humans, more than dogs, more than cattle. And yet, because they are everywhere, they are easy to overlook. Inside the body of a hen, an egg can form in roughly a day. A yolk begins the process, then layers of egg white, soft membranes, and finally a hard shell are added in order. The shell itself is made mostly from calcium carbonate, the same basic mineral found in limestone and seashells. It forms slowly around the egg, creating a pale protective room with thousands of tiny pores that allow air to pass through. An egg looks still when it rests in the palm of a hand, but biologically, it is an object full of careful design. And the bird that makes it is not as empty or automatic as people once assumed. Chickens can learn. They can remember familiar birds. They can react to warning calls. They can recognize parts of their social world, including rank, space, food, danger, and routine. A flock is not just a loose group of clucking animals. It is a small society, with signals, habits, tension, comfort, and memory moving through it. So tonight, the chicken will not be treated as background. It will be treated as what it really is: an ancient bird, a forest descendant, a maker of eggs, a social creature, a food animal, a companion animal, and one of the closest living links between deep natural history and everyday human life. The more closely we look, the less ordinary it becomes. And for now, there is nothing to do but settle in, breathe softly, and let this familiar bird become strange again. That familiar bird, resting low on its perch or stepping softly through straw, carries a body plan much older than the farm around it. Before there were wooden coops, metal feeders, garden fences, or morning eggs in a kitchen bowl, there were dinosaurs moving across ancient land. The chicken belongs to the only dinosaur line that survived into the modern age. That line is the birds. Not all dinosaurs became birds. Most disappeared around 66 million years ago, after a huge asteroid struck Earth near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The impact changed the climate, darkened the sky, disrupted food chains, and helped end the age of the large non-bird dinosaurs. But one branch lived on. Small feathered dinosaurs, already light, active, warm-blooded, and able to reproduce through hard-shelled eggs, left descendants that became modern birds. So when a chicken scratches in dust, it is not simply reminding us of dinosaurs. It is part of that surviving dinosaur branch. Its ancestors were theropods. Theropods were mostly two-legged dinosaurs, a broad group that included famous animals like Tyrannosaurus rex and Velociraptor. A chicken did not descend from those exact dinosaurs. It shares a much older family line with them, the way cousins can share grandparents without one coming from the other. That is why the connection is real, but also careful. The chicken is not a tiny Tyrannosaurus. It is an avian dinosaur, which means a bird dinosaur. Its body has been softened, shortened, lightened, and reshaped by millions of years of evolution. But the old structure is still there. Look at the legs first. A chicken walks on strong hind limbs, with toes gripping the ground and claws scraping through soil. That upright, two-legged stance reaches far back into theropod history. The feet are not just for walking. They are tools. A hen can rake dry leaves backward with quick, practiced strokes, uncovering seeds, stones, insects, and bits of hidden food. That movement looks simple in a farmyard, but it belongs to a deep history of animals using their hind limbs to move, balance, search, and survive. Then there are the bones. Bird bones are often hollow or partly hollow, with inner struts that help keep them strong without making them too heavy. This kind of light construction helps flying birds rise into the air. In chickens, which fly only in short bursts, the same general bird design remains. A chicken may look heavy and grounded, but inside, its skeleton still carries the mark of an animal shaped by air. Near the chest is another ancient clue. Birds have a wishbone, also called a furcula. It is formed from two collarbones joined together. In flying birds, it acts a little like a spring, flexing as the wings move. Fossils show that some theropod dinosaurs had wishbones too. So the little forked bone people, once dried and pulled apart after dinner, is not only a household tradition. It is a small fossil-like echo inside a modern bird. Feathers tell the story even more clearly. Today, we think of feathers as flight tools, but feathers likely began before true flight. In ancient dinosaurs, early feathers may have helped with warmth, display, camouflage, or sensing the world. Some were simple filaments, more like soft fuzz than the neat flight feathers of a wing. Over time, feathers became more complex. They formed shafts, branches, and tiny hooks that could hold a flat surface together. In a chicken, feathers still do many jobs. They trap warmth close to the body. They shed rain. They help signal health and status. They soften the bird's outline when it settles down to sleep. Even the act of nesting reaches backward. Many theropod dinosaurs laid eggs. Some fossil nests show eggs arranged carefully, sometimes in rings or clutches. Modern birds inherited this egg-laying body plan, but refined it in many ways. A hen's egg is not a new invention of the farm. It is part of an ancient reproductive pattern carried forward through unimaginable time. The chicken also warms its body from within. Like other birds, it keeps a high body temperature, often around 105 to 107 degrees Fahrenheit. That inner heat powers movement, growth, and egg formation. It also makes the resting chicken feel alive with quiet warmth, even on a cool evening when the coop air has begun to settle. This is what makes the chicken so strange in the gentlest way. It is familiar enough to stand beside a garden path. But its bones, feathers, eggs, legs, and warmth all point backward. Past farms, past villages, past written history, back into the long age when feathered dinosaurs moved through ferns, forests, and dusty ground. And from that ancient branch, over millions of years, one smaller line kept changing. It became lighter, quicker, more watchful, more bird-like, until, much later, in the forests of Asia, that dinosaur story took the shape of a red junglefowl. That red junglefowl was not a farm animal yet. It was a bird of forest edges, warm air, low branches, and fallen leaves. Its scientific name is Gallus gallus. It still lives across parts of South and Southeast Asia, including regions of India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia. At first glance, a male red junglefowl can look almost like a bright, lean rooster. He has a red comb on top of his head, dangling wattles below the beak, glossy green-black tail feathers, and warm orange, red, and gold feathers across the neck and back. But he is usually slimmer and sharper looking than many domestic roosters. His body is lighter. His movements are quicker. His eyes seem tuned to every small shift in the leaves. The female is quieter in color. She is brown, tan, and softly patterned, with feathers that blend into dry grass, forest soil, and the broken shadows under shrubs. This matters because a hen sitting near a nest needs to disappear into the ground around her. A bright bird is easy to notice. A brown bird among leaves can become almost invisible. Red junglefowl live close to the earth, but they are not helpless there. They walk through undergrowth with quick steps, using their strong feet to scratch backward through leaf litter. A few strokes can uncover seeds, fallen fruit, termites, beetles, worms, and small bits of plant material. Like domestic chickens, they are omnivores, meaning they eat both plant and animal foods. This flexible diet made them well suited to forest edges, where food changes from season to season. In the dry season, there may be more seeds and fallen grains. After rain, there may be more insects and soft new growth. A junglefowl does not need one perfect food source. It reads the ground with its feet and beak, taking small chances all day. Its beak is not only a tool for eating, it is also a tool for testing. A quick peck can check whether something is food, grit, shell, seed, or insect. Small stones and grit are useful because birds do not chew with teeth. Instead, food moves into a muscular part of the stomach called the gizzard. The gizzard uses swallowed grit like tiny grinding tools, crushing hard seeds and fibrous pieces so the bird can digest them. So even a junglefowl pecking at little stones is taking part in a quiet, practical process. It is preparing its body to break down food later. At night, the bird leaves the ground. Red junglefowl often roost in trees or higher branches, where they are safer from many predators. A bird sleeping on the forest floor would be vulnerable to snakes, cats, civets, foxes, and other hunters that move through darkness. A branch does not make it perfectly safe, but it raises the sleeping bird above many dangers. This is why chickens, even domestic ones, still want to perch at night. A hen stepping up onto a wooden roost in a backyard coop is repeating an old forest habit. Her feet curl around the perch. Her body lowers. Her feathers loosen slightly around the warmth of her skin. And somewhere inside that simple evening act is the memory of trees. Red junglefowl can fly, but their flight is not the long, smooth travel of geese or swallows. It is sudden, loud, and short. The wings beat hard. The body lifts quickly. Then the bird lands on a branch, a bank, a fence line, or a safer patch of ground. This kind of flight is useful for escape, not migration. The same pattern remains in many chickens today. A startled chicken can burst upward with surprising force, but it usually does not travel far. It is built more for quick decisions than for open sky. The modern chicken keeps the same basic outline as this wild bird. A rounded body, a small head, strong legs, scratching feet, a sharp beak, a social nature, a habit of roosting. But the domestic chicken has been softened by life with people. Many breeds are heavier. Many are calmer. Some lay far more eggs than any wild junglefowl would. Some have feathers shaped by human preference rather than forest survival. The red junglefowl is the older shape underneath it all. Not a pet, not livestock, not a breakfast symbol, a watchful forest bird, moving through leaves and shadow, ready to run, call, hide, scratch, or rise suddenly into a branch. For this bird to come closer to humans, the human world had to offer something strong enough to overcome caution. And near the forest edge, where early fields opened in the trees, food began to gather in a new and tempting way. Near the forest edge, the world was changing. Trees still held shade. Leaves still gathered on the ground. Insects still moved through damp soil after rain. But now, beside the older forest, humans were opening clearings. They were planting crops. They were storing grain. They were leaving behind husks, spilled seeds, scraps, and small piles of waste that wild animals could find. For a red junglefowl, this new edge between forest and village may have been full of quiet opportunity. The bird did not need to understand humans. It only needed to notice food. A few loose grains near a hut. A patch of disturbed soil where insects were easier to reach. A storage area where rice, millet, or other seeds sometimes fell to the ground. A place where human activity scared off some predators, but still left enough cover for a wary bird to escape. This is one of the most interesting parts of the chicken story. Domestication may not have started with people grabbing wild birds and forcing them into pens. It may have started more softly, with distance, with caution, with birds coming a little closer when humans were not watching, with people slowly accepting that certain wild birds were always nearby. In parts of Southeast Asia, early rice farming created exactly the kind of habitat that red junglefowl could use. Rice grows in warm regions with plenty of water. It can be planted in wet fields, river valleys, and low areas where people work the soil again and again. When humans harvest and process rice, not every grain is saved. Some grains fall, some are damaged. Some end up near homes, baskets, storage pits, and cooking areas. To a ground-feeding bird, this matters. A forest floor can be generous, but it is not always predictable. Fruit ripens and disappears. Insects rise and fall with rain and temperature. Seeds come and go with the season. But a human settlement can create repeated food. Not endless food, not safe food, but food that appears often enough to be remembered. A bird that found grain near people once might return. A bird that returned many times might become less afraid. A bird that was less afraid might feed better, survive longer, and leave more young. The young birds that grew up near human sounds, smoke, footsteps, baskets, and houses might treat those things as part of the background of life. This is how a wild boundary can soften over generations. Not all at once, not with a clean line, but slowly, as behavior changes before bodies do. The boldest birds may have come closest. The calmest birds may have stayed longest. The birds most able to feed near people without panicking may have gained a small advantage. Humans may have noticed them too. A red junglefowl near a village was useful even before it was fully domestic. It could provide meat. It could lay eggs. It could give feathers. Its calls might warn of movement nearby. And because junglefowl are social birds, people did not have to manage only one lonely animal at a time. Where one bird tolerated the edge of settlement, others could follow. This kind of closeness is different from taming one animal. Taming happens within a single lifetime. A person can tame a wild bird by feeding it, handling it, and making it less afraid. Domestication is deeper. It happens across generations. It changes which animals reproduce. It shapes fear, body size, breeding habits, color, behavior, and timing. A tamed junglefowl is still a wild animal that has learned one person or place. A domestic chicken is part of a changed population, shaped by many births, many deaths, and many human choices. At first, those choices may have been simple. Keep the birds that stay. Feed the birds that return. Protect the birds that lay. Eat the birds that are easiest to catch. Allow the calmer ones to breed nearby. Over time, even small choices can become powerful. A forest bird that once scattered at the first sign of people could slowly become a village bird, then a household bird, then a farm bird, then a traveler carried in baskets, boats, and cages far from the forest where its ancestors slept. The chicken's beginning was not a single invention. It was a long meeting at the edge of two worlds. On one side, the warm forest. On the other, the first steady fields. And between them, a watchful bird scratching through fallen grain, not knowing that this small act of trust would change its future forever. That small act of trust, repeated near fields and homes, became more powerful than it first appeared. A bird that came close once was only visiting. A bird that came close every season began living inside a new kind of world. Domestication works through time. It gathers tiny changes across many generations until an animal population begins to shift in body and behavior. A single red junglefowl could learn that one village was safe. Its chicks could grow up hearing human voices, baskets scraping on the ground, grain being poured, and feet moving through packed earth. The calmest young birds would waste less energy fleeing. The boldest ones might find more food. Birds that nested near people could leave more surviving chicks if the settlement gave them shelter from some predators. Over many years, these small advantages became selection pressure. Selection pressure simply means that certain traits help an animal survive or reproduce more often. In the case of early chickens, fear mattered. A wild junglefowl that panicked at every human movement would stay near the forest. A bird that could feed near people without constant alarm could use the food-rich space around homes. Those calmer birds were easier for humans to tolerate, protect, catch, trade, and breed. Slowly, the balance changed. The birds closest to humans were no longer exactly like the birds hidden deeper in the forest. Their behavior shifted first. Then their bodies followed. Domesticated animals often show changes in size, color, reproduction, and stress response. In many species, living near humans favors animals that are less reactive to sudden noise or movement. A nervous animal burns energy through constant escape. A calmer animal can feed, rest, mate, and raise young near people. For chickens, this difference would have been especially important. A bird that could remain near a storage hut or a rice yard had access to spilled grain, insects in disturbed soil, and scraps from daily life. Reproduction gave the process speed. A cow carries a calf for about 9 months. A dog carries puppies for about 2 months. A chicken egg takes about 21 days to hatch once incubation begins. Young hens can begin laying at around 5 or 6 months of age, depending on breed, food, light, and health. That shorter cycle meant humans could see changes more quickly than they could with large livestock. Within a human lifetime, many chicken generations could pass. Each generation gave people more chances to favor birds that were useful, calm, healthy, or easy to manage. The first choices were probably simple and practical. People would keep birds that stayed close to the home. They would notice hens that laid well. They would value roosters that guarded the flock or warned of danger. Birds that were too wild, too aggressive, or too difficult to contain would be less likely to become part of the human-kept group. Even without written breeding plans, ordinary village choices could shape the future animal. Compared with cattle, chickens were light and easy to house. Compared with pigs, they needed less space. Compared with dogs, they produced eggs, a renewable food that could appear again and again from the same living bird. A small flock could fit beside a house, under a raised structure, near a garden, or inside a simple fenced yard. Their bodies also made them practical for movement. A person could carry a chicken in a basket. A family could bring a few birds when moving to a new settlement. A trader could take live chickens along a river route or onto a boat. Larger animals needed pasture, more water, stronger fencing, and slower travel. Chickens could turn scattered food into eggs, and more chickens almost anywhere people settled. Their smallness became part of their power. A bird that began at the forest edge became an animal that could follow human paths. As villages grew, exchanged goods, and reached farther across rivers and coasts, chickens could move with them. The same bird that once scratched through fallen rice near one clearing could become a traveler. Across land paths, island crossings, and crowded markets, the chicken was ready to leave the place where domestication had begun. Across land paths, island crossings, and crowded markets, the chicken was almost perfectly shaped for movement. A cow needed grazing land, a strong handler, and a steady supply of water. A pig needed heavier feeding and closer control. A chicken could be lifted under one arm, placed in a woven basket, or carried in a small wooden crate with slats for air. That simple difference mattered. An animal that could travel alive could arrive alive. A few birds could become a flock again after the journey. A hen could lay eggs along the way if she was fed and kept calm. A rooster could help produce the next generation in a new village, on a new island, or beside a new field. This made chickens useful in a way that fit human movement. As people migrated, traded, married across regions, built settlements, and moved goods by river or sea, chickens could come with them. They did not require the large open pasture that cattle needed. They did not need the same heavy storage of feed as larger livestock. They could eat grain, kitchen scraps, insects, garden waste, weed seeds, and bits of food that humans could not easily use. A small flock could live near a house and turn overlooked material into eggs, meat, fertilizer, and more birds. That ability made them valuable in many kinds of places. In a humid rice-growing village, chickens could scratch near houses and storage areas. In drier farming regions, they could search through dust, straw, and spilled seed. On islands, where space and large mammals were limited, chickens could provide animal food from a compact body. A few birds could travel by boat more easily than goats, pigs, or cattle. They could be kept in cages, fed by hand, and released near homes when the journey ended. This is part of why chickens spread so widely. Their movement followed human movement. Archaeological remains show that domestic chickens were present in parts of Southeast Asia more than 3,000 years ago. Over time, they appeared farther west through South Asia, then into regions connected by trade, conquest, and settlement. By the first millennium BCE, chickens were known in parts of the Mediterranean world. Later, Roman writers described chickens in farming, food, divination, and daily life. Divination means using signs to predict events or seek guidance. Some Romans watched the feeding behavior of sacred chickens before military decisions, believing that a bird eating eagerly could be a favorable sign. That may sound strange now, but it shows how deeply chickens entered human culture. They were practical animals, and they also became symbolic animals. A rooster crowing before dawn could mark time. A hen with chicks could stand for care and protection. Bright feathers could become decoration. Eggs could become food, offerings, trade goods, and symbols of new life. The bird carried meaning while also carrying usefulness. Its usefulness was wonderfully broad. Eggs could be gathered without killing the hen. Meat could be taken when needed. Feathers could stuff cushions, decorate clothing, or serve small household uses. Manure could enrich gardens and fields because it contains nitrogen and phosphorus, two nutrients plants need for growth. A rooster's alarm calls could also matter around homes, because chickens often react quickly to sudden movement from people, dogs, snakes, hawks, or unfamiliar animals. In a village without electric lights, locked doors, or modern alarms, a noisy flock could make hidden movement harder to ignore. Chickens multiplied this value through reproduction. A clutch of eggs under a broody hen could become chicks after about 21 days of warmth. Broody means the hen is strongly driven to sit on eggs and keep them at the right temperature. A household that began with only a few birds could grow its flock if enough chicks survived. That made chickens different from many goods that were simply consumed. A chicken was a living source of future chickens. This mattered for trade and settlement. A sack of grain could feed people once. A tool could be used for years, but it would not reproduce. A small flock could keep renewing itself, as long as people protected it from predators, disease, hunger, and harsh weather. So the chicken moved through the human world as a quiet companion of expansion. It crossed paths with farmers, sailors, merchants, soldiers, priests, cooks, children, and household keepers. Every place shaped it a little. Every flock carried traces of where it had been. By traveling so well, the chicken proved that its success came from more than human choice. Its own body made the journey possible. Small enough to carry, flexible enough to feed, social enough to keep together, and productive enough to be worth bringing along. Small enough to travel and useful enough to keep, the chicken carried a kind of biological flexibility. that matched human life almost perfectly. Its body could make use of the scattered edges of a settlement, around a house, a field, or a storage yard. Food rarely appears in clean piles. It appears in fragments. A cracked grain of rice near a doorway, a beetle under damp straw, a sprout at the edge of a garden bed, a soft piece of kitchen waste left where the ground has been swept. For a chicken, this broken pattern of food is enough. Chickens are omnivores, which means they can eat both plant and animal material. A flock scratching through a yard may pick up seeds, tender leaves, insects, worms, small lizards, bits of fruit, and leftover cooked food. Their wild ancestors already had this flexible feeding style in forest edges, where food changed with rain, season, shade, and temperature. Human settlements created a new version of the same patchy world. Instead of fallen jungle fruit and termites under leaves, there were spilled grains, disturbed soil, compost heaps, and insects gathered near stored food. A chicken could walk through this human-shaped landscape and turn scattered scraps into body heat, eggs, feathers, and future chicks. The feet did much of the work. A chicken scratches by stepping forward, then dragging each foot backward through loose material. Dry soil, straw, mulch, ash, and leaf litter open under that motion. The bird lowers its head, studies the ground with quick eyes, and pecks at anything promising. Even the smallest discovery matters. A single beetle contains protein. A seed contains stored energy. A green shoot carries water and minerals. Over a whole day, these tiny finds add up. This made chickens different from animals that needed large grazing areas or carefully prepared feed. A cow requires open land or harvested forage because its body is built to digest large amounts of grass. A pig can eat widely, but it grows much larger and needs stronger fencing and more feed. A chicken can live in a smaller space and still search actively for part of its own diet. That made it useful to households that had limited land. It also made chickens practical for villages, islands, market towns, and farms where every bit of leftover food had value. Their speed of life helped too. A chicken reaches maturity far faster than large livestock. Many hens can begin laying eggs at around 5 or 6 months old, when food, daylight, health, and breed all support the process. A calf takes much longer to become a breeding animal. A young chicken can move from hatchling to adult within the same year. That shorter cycle gave people a steady way to build flocks. A few hens and one rooster could produce fertilized eggs. After about 21 days of incubation, chicks could hatch if the eggs were kept warm and turned under a broody hen. The flock could grow in a courtyard beside a field or behind a simple fence. Their social nature made this even easier. Chickens are flock animals. They watch one another constantly. When one bird finds food, others notice. When one bird gives an alarm call, nearby birds react. When evening comes, they tend to gather toward familiar roosting places. This group behavior helps keep them manageable. A solitary wild bird might vanish into brush and never return. A flock animal can form habits around a place. Chickens learn where food appears, where water is kept, where shelter stands, and where the group sleeps after sunset. The roost is especially important. At night, chickens prefer to perch above the ground if they can. A branch, rail, pole, or wooden bar gives their feet something to grip. while their bodies settle into rest. This habit came from forest ancestry, where sleeping higher helped protect birds from predators moving through the dark. In a human coop, the same instinct helped people gather the flock in one place. The birds could spend the day searching and scratching, then return to a known shelter as light faded. For early human communities, that was a quiet gift. The chicken could feed itself partly from the edges of human life. It could mature quickly enough for people to see results. It could live socially, return to familiar places, and multiply from a small beginning. Its body was compact, active, alert, and productive. Yet the most important part of this partnership was something the bird left behind in straw, grass, or a carefully chosen nest. A smooth object, warm at first, pale or brown or lightly speckled, holding inside it the reason chickens became so deeply woven into daily human life. That smooth object, resting in straw or warm grass, begins long before it is seen. Inside a hen, an egg is built in a careful order. The process usually takes about 24 to 26 hours from one laid egg to the next. For a healthy laying hen, this rhythm can repeat many times, especially when food, daylight, water, and calcium are steady. The first visible part is the yolk. A hen carries many tiny yolks in her ovary, each one at a different stage of growth. The ovary sits high inside the body, near the backbone, close to the place where the bird's organs are held safely under the ribs and pelvis. As one yolk matures, it grows larger and richer with nutrients. It becomes the golden center most people recognize when an egg is cracked into a bowl. When the yolk is ready, it leaves the ovary in a step called ovulation. Ovulation means the yolk is released. From there, the yolk enters a long folded tube called the oviduct. The oviduct is the pathway where the rest of the egg is assembled. It does not build the egg all at once. It adds each part in a sequence, like a quiet workshop inside the bird. The first area of the oviduct is called the infundibulum. This part catches the released yolk. If a rooster has mated with the hen, fertilization can happen here, near the beginning of the journey. Fertilization means a sperm cell joins with the female cell on the yolk, allowing a chick to begin developing later if the egg is kept warm. Many eggs people eat are unfertilized, so they will never become chicks. They still form in almost the same beautiful order. After the infundibulum, the yolk moves into a part called the magnum. This is where most of the egg white is added. Egg white is also called albumin. It looks simple and clear, but it contains water, protein, and protective substances that help guard the yolk. The albumin cushions the center of the egg, so the yolk does not press directly against the shell. It also gives a growing chick water and protein if development begins. Within this white layer are twisted strands called chalazae. They look like little white cords near the yolk when a fresh egg is cracked. Their job is to help hold the yolk in position, closer to the center. The yolk continues forward into the isthmus, where two thin shell membranes form around it. These membranes sit just inside the hard shell. When a boiled egg is peeled, they can sometimes be seen as a papery layer beneath the shell. They add another barrier against bacteria and help shape the air cell that forms at the wide end of the egg after laying. The longest part of the journey happens in the uterus, also called the shell gland. Here the egg spends many hours while the shell forms. A chicken eggshell is made mostly of calcium carbonate. That is the same basic mineral found in limestone, chalk, coral, and many seashells. The hen pulls calcium from her diet, and sometimes from calcium stored in her own bones, to build the shell around the soft egg. This is why laying hens need calcium-rich food, often from crushed oyster shell, limestone, or specially balanced feed. Without enough calcium, shells can become thin, rough, weak, or misshapen. During shell formation, tiny crystals of calcium carbonate spread across the outer membranes. Layer by layer, the soft egg becomes firm. The shell still remains full of microscopic pores. These pores are too small to see with the eye, yet they allow gases to pass through. Air can move in. Carbon dioxide and water vapor can move out. Near the end, some hens add shell color. Brown eggs get their color from pigment placed on the shell late in formation. Blue egg color comes from a different pigment that can be built more deeply into the shell. White eggs have little or no visible pigment. Finally, a thin coating called the cuticle, or bloom, covers the outside. This coating helps seal the pores and protect the egg after it is laid. Then, the egg moves through the final passage and leaves the hen's body through the cloaca, the shared opening birds use for laying eggs and passing waste. By the time it rests in the nest, the egg has already taken a full inner journey. Yolk, white, membranes, shell, color, and protective coating have arrived in order. A fresh egg may feel like one simple thing in the hand. Inside its quiet shape is a day of living work, arranged so carefully that the same object can become breakfast, or under warmth and time, an entire little world. That entire little world begins inside something that looks quiet enough to hold in one hand. A chicken egg may weigh around 50 to 60 grams, depending on the hen and breed. Its shell is usually only about 1/3 of a millimeter thick, yet it can protect a developing chick for about 21 days under steady warmth. The shell feels firm because it is built from calcium carbonate crystals packed into a hard outer layer. Still, under a microscope, the surface is full of tiny openings. A chicken egg can have thousands of pores spread across its shell. These pores make the egg more like a small breathing room than a closed stone. Air can pass inward. Carbon dioxide and water vapor can pass outward. The developing chick needs that quiet exchange because a living body is always using oxygen, even before it has taken its first breath in the open air. Just beneath the shell are two thin membranes. They sit close together at first, like delicate layers of paper. After the egg is laid, it begins to cool. As it cools, the contents inside shrink slightly, and the two membranes separate at the wide end of the egg. That small space becomes the air cell. In a fresh egg, the air cell is small. As days pass, moisture slowly leaves through the pores, and the air cell grows larger. This is one reason older eggs float more easily in water. They contain a larger pocket of air than very fresh eggs. For a chick, the air cell becomes important near the end of development. Before hatching, the chick shifts its body inside the shell and breaks into that air pocket. This gives it its first small supply of air before it breaks the outer shell. The egg white, or albumen, surrounds the yolk in soft layers. It is mostly water, with protein dissolved through it. To the eye, albumen looks clear and simple. Inside the egg, it cushions the yolk, helps protect against germs, and gives water and protein to a growing embryo. An embryo is the early form of an animal before it is ready to hatch or be born. In a fertilized chicken egg, the embryo begins as a tiny spot on the surface of the yolk. The yolk itself is the main food store. It is rich in fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Those nutrients feed the chick as its heart. Eyes, limbs, beak, feathers, blood vessels, and inner organs take shape. The yolk is held near the center by the chelazae, the pale, twisted cords that can sometimes be seen when an egg is cracked. They help keep the yolk from drifting too far toward the shell. This matters because the developing embryo needs a stable position. The egg is also shaped to support survival. One end is wider, where the air cell forms. The other end is narrower, which helps the egg settle in a nest and roll in a more limited curve. Many bird eggs are shaped this way to reduce the chance of rolling far from the nest. Chicken eggs vary in color, from white to brown, cream, blue, green, or speckled, depending on breed and pigment. The color sits in or on the shell, while the inner design remains much the same. A brown egg and a white egg can hold the same kind of hidden architecture. Shell, membranes, air, albumen, yolk, and embryo all have their roles. Warmth brings the system to life. A broody hen keeps eggs close beneath her body, often near 99 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, at the egg surface. She turns them with small movements of her beak and body. Turning helps the developing chick stay positioned properly and prevents delicate tissues from sticking to the inner membranes. To a person walking past the nest, the eggs may look still. Inside, if the egg is fertile and conditions are right, blood vessels spread across the yolk. A tiny heart begins to beat early in development. The body folds and lengthens. Dark eyes form. Soft down feathers begin as small growths in the skin. The shell protects all of this, while the pores keep the hidden room connected to the outside air. So the egg is both shelter and passageway. It holds stillness, warmth, food, water, oxygen, waste gases, and time in one fragile shape. Under the quiet curve of the shell, a chick can begin arranging itself from almost nothing into a breathing bird. Under steady warmth, the quiet inside the egg begins to organize itself. A fertilized chicken egg usually takes about 21 days to hatch. During that time, the yolk becomes the chick's main food source. It holds fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals, all packed into a golden store of energy. At first, the developing chick is only a tiny cluster of cells resting on the surface of the yolk. Warmth changes everything. When the egg is held near the right temperature, close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, those cells begin dividing, folding, and taking shape. Blood vessels spread across the yolk like fine red threads. They carry oxygen and nutrients toward the growing body. Very early in development, the heart begins to beat. It starts as a simple tube that pulses gently before it becomes the stronger four-chambered heart of the chick. That tiny pulse is one of the first signs that the still egg is becoming an animal. The body then begins to bend into a curved shape. The head forms larger than the rest of the body at first. Dark eye spots appear. Small buds mark where wings and legs will grow. The spine begins as a soft line of repeating segments, which later support the neck, back, and tail. As the days pass, the chick's form becomes easier to imagine. The beak takes shape. Toes separate at the ends of the feet. The wings grow folded close to the body. Soft feather germs appear in the skin, like tiny points that will later become down. Down is the first soft covering of a chick. It is light, fluffy, and useful for holding warmth after hatch. Inside the shell, the chick is surrounded by extra structures that help it survive. One membrane gathers waste. Another helps with breathing by pressing close to the inside of the shell, where oxygen can pass through pores. The shell does more than protect. It quietly joins the chick to the air outside. Gas moves through the tiny openings, while the chick continues using the yolk as its food. During the final days, the egg becomes more crowded. The chick curls into position with its head tucked beneath its right wing. Its beak points toward the wide end of the egg, where the air cell waits. This position matters. The air cell is the chick's first small breathing space. Before breaking the shell, the chick must break into that pocket. This is called internal pipping. Pipping means making the first break. When the chick pierces the inner membrane and reaches the air cell, it begins using its lungs more fully. For the first time, air moves inside its own body, instead of only through the egg's hidden exchange system. The chick may rest after this step. Hatching often takes many hours because the body is finishing several jobs at once. The remaining yolk is drawn into the chick's abdomen, giving it food for the first day or two after hatch. The lungs continue adjusting. The neck and body press against the shell. Near the tip of the beak is a small temporary point called the egg tooth. It is not a true tooth. It is a hard little bump used for breaking the shell. The chick pushes, turns, rests, and pushes again. A tiny crack appears, then another. The first opening in the outer shell is called external pipping. From outside, it may look like a small star-shaped chip. From inside, it is the start of a slow escape from the room the chick has been building within. The chick does not burst free all at once. It works in a circle, tapping and straining along the shell. This movement is sometimes called zipping, because the break slowly travels around the egg. The shell weakens along that line. The membranes stretch. The chick rests often, gathering strength between efforts. Eventually, with a final push of its legs and neck, the shell opens. Wet feathers cling to the small body. The eyes blink. The chick lies still for a while, breathing air that no longer has to pass through a shell. Warmth dries the down into soft fluff. The egg tooth will fall away after it has served its purpose. The hidden body, built from yolk, warmth, oxygen, minerals, and time, has crossed into the open world. From this moment, growth is no longer the only task. The chick must begin noticing, following, calling, listening, and learning from the living world around it. The chick that rests beside the broken shell has entered the world already prepared for movement. Its eyes are open. Its body is covered in soft down. Its legs can push, steady, and step within a short time after hatching. Biologists call this kind of young bird precocial. Precocial means the animal hatches in a fairly developed state, able to see, move, and begin feeding much sooner than animals that are born helpless. A chick is a good example. Compared with a newborn kitten or mouse, which arrives with closed eyes and little control over its body, a chick begins life with surprising readiness. Its head lifts. Its feet test the ground. Its beak taps at small objects. Its body is still tiny and soft, but it is already built for a world of signals. This readiness makes sense because the ancestor of the chicken nested on the ground. A ground-nesting bird cannot leave its young completely helpless for long. A chick on the forest floor needs to follow warmth, stay near the group, notice danger, and begin learning where food might be found. The first hours after hatch are gentle, but they are also important. The chick dries under warmth, then begins to respond to sights and sounds around it. One of the strongest early learning processes is called imprinting. Imprinting means a young animal forms a lasting attachment or recognition pattern during a sensitive early period. In chicks, this can happen soon after hatching, when the young bird learns what to follow and what belongs close. In the natural setting, the moving shape, sound, and warmth of the mother hen guide that learning. The chick sees her body. It hears her low clucks. It feels her feathers around it when it tucks underneath for heat. Those signals become part of the first map of safety. A hen does more than sit beside her chicks. She leads them. She calls them toward food. She gives soft contact sounds that help keep the brood together. When danger appears, her alarm calls can send chicks freezing, hiding, or rushing toward cover. A brood is the group of young birds cared for at one time. In a quiet yard, a broody hen may walk slowly across the ground, while several chicks trail behind her like small dots of moving down. If she stops and pecks at a seed, the chicks watch. If she scratches at loose dirt, they gather near the open patch. Learning begins through repetition. A chick sees where the hen pecks. It hears the sound linked with food. It tries the ground for itself. This is called social learning, which means learning by watching or responding to others. Chicks also learn from siblings. A chick that notices another chick pecking may investigate the same spot. A small group can become better at finding food because one bird's discovery quickly draws the attention of the rest. The process looks simple from far away. Up close, it is a moving lesson in attention. Head tilts, tiny calls, quick steps, and little pecks all help shape the chick's first understanding of its surroundings. Even before hatching, sound matters. Chicks can hear while still inside the egg near the end of development. They can make small peeping sounds before they fully emerge. This early calling may help coordinate hatching within a clutch, so chicks leave the shell at roughly similar times. It may also let the hen respond to them before she has seen them standing in the nest. A chicken's first world begins in darkness, sound, warmth, and pressure. Then it opens into light, movement, and the living signals of the flock. The chick's brain is ready for that change. It does not need a long childhood of helplessness before it begins noticing patterns. Within the first day, a healthy chick may walk, peck, drink, rest, call, and follow. Its small body still depends on warmth and protection, but its learning has already started. This early ability changes the way the chicken should be seen. The animal is shaped by instinct, and it is also shaped by experience. A chick arrives with built-in drives to follow, feed, and stay close to safety. Daily life then begins adding detail. The sound of a hen, the sight of familiar feathers, the feeling of the brooder floor or nest material under its feet, the repeated place where food appears, the shadow that means caution. Small lessons gather quickly inside a small bird. From the very beginning, the chicken is watching, responding, and remembering enough to make its next choice. That early awareness opens into a larger truth. The grown chicken, with its clucks, ranks, routines, and careful attention, begins as a chick already learning the shape of its world. That grown chicken carries its early lessons forward in a brain built for a busy social world. For a long time, people used the phrase bird brain as an insult. The phrase made small brains sound empty. Modern animal behavior studies have given that old idea a much quieter ending. A chicken's brain is small compared with a human brain, yet size alone gives a poor measure of ability. Bird brains are arranged differently from mammal brains. They can pack large numbers of nerve cells into a compact space. Nerve cells, or neurons, are the tiny signal-carrying cells that let an animal sense, learn, move, and respond. In chickens, those signals support far more than pecking and wandering. A hen can learn that a certain sound means food. A rooster can learn which place in a yard offers cover from hawks. A young bird can remember where water is kept and which older bird tends to chase others away from grain. Learning by association is one of the clearest signs of this. Association means linking one thing with another. If a chicken hears the same bucket rattle before feed appears each morning, the sound can become meaningful. The flock may begin moving toward the feeder before the food is even poured. That is memory tied to repeated experience. Chickens can also recognize individuals. They know familiar flock members by sight, sound, and behavior. A hen that has lived with the same group for months is surrounded by birds with known habits. One bird may be bold near food. Another may avoid conflict. A rooster may watch the sky often and call when danger appears. These differences matter because chickens live in a social setting where rank, space, and timing affect daily life. Their faces and combs help with recognition. The comb is the fleshy red crest on top of the head. Its size, shape, and color can signal health, age, and status. Wattles, the hanging red skin beneath the beak, add more visual information. To human eyes, many chickens in a flock may look similar. To chickens, those small differences can help mark who is who. Chickens also respond to changes in their surroundings. A moved feeder, a new object in the run, a different shadow passing overhead, or an unfamiliar bird entering the group can change their behavior. They may pause, stretch their necks, tilt one eye toward the object, then approach slowly. This caution is useful. An animal that lives near the ground must notice small changes because danger can arrive from above, from the side, or through the grass. Problem solving appears in simple daily actions. A chicken may work out how to reach food inside a container. It may learn which gate opens into a favored patch of ground. It may follow another bird that has found a hidden source of insects. These are practical forms of intelligence. They help the animal live inside a changing place. Some studies have shown that chickens can understand basic quantities in simple tests. A chick may track where larger or smaller groups of objects are hidden. This does not mean it counts the way a person counts with numbers. It means the young bird can notice amount and difference well enough to choose. That ability fits a life where finding more food, staying with more companions, or moving toward the safer group can matter. Chickens also show signs of expectation. When something familiar happens out of order, they can react. A bird that expects food in one location may search there first. A bird that knows a dominant flock member is nearby may adjust its path. The brain is constantly matching memory with the present scene. Inside that small head, the chicken is sorting light, sound, motion, smell, hunger, social pressure, and past experience. Its intelligence is grounded in ordinary needs: finding food, avoiding harm, keeping close to the flock, choosing when to move and when to stay still. That makes it easy to miss. Chicken intelligence rarely looks dramatic. It appears in a head turn, a warning call, a learned route through a yard, or a careful step away from a stronger bird. The bird thinks through the shape of its own life, and that life is rarely lived alone. The clearest picture of chicken intelligence appears when several birds share the same ground, watching each other, answering each other, and quietly building a social map from dawn until dusk. From dawn until dusk, a chicken is rarely reading the world alone. It is also reading the other birds. A flock may look scattered from far away, with one hen near the water dish, another scratching under a shrub, and a rooster standing near the edge of the yard. Up close, every bird is part of a living pattern. Each chicken knows familiar bodies, familiar voices, familiar movements, and familiar habits. This social awareness is one reason chickens can live together in groups without every moment becoming chaos. The best-known part of chicken social life is the pecking order. That phrase came from studies of domestic hens in the early 20th century, especially the work of Norwegian zoologist Thorleif Skjelderup Ebbe, who watched how chickens formed ranks inside groups. A pecking order is a dominance hierarchy. A hierarchy is a social ladder where some individuals have higher rank than others. In a chicken flock, rank can shape who eats first, who moves away, who chooses a resting place, and who has the most freedom near food or shelter. The order can be seen in small actions. A higher-ranking hen may walk toward grain, and another hen may step aside. A lower-ranking bird may wait at the edge of the feeder until space opens. A rooster may stand tall, lift his neck feathers, or place himself between the flock and a possible danger. These signals reduce the need for constant conflict, because each bird learns what to expect from the others. Rank is especially visible around valuable things. Food creates pressure. Water creates pressure. A warm dust bathing spot in dry soil can create pressure. A safe perch inside the coop can matter at sunset, when birds are looking for a place to sleep. Chickens often prefer higher roosts because height gives them a sense of safety. That old forest instinct, carried from junglefowl ancestors, still shapes the evening flock. As daylight fades, birds begin moving toward the coop or roosting area. Some hop up early, others wait below. A bird with higher rank may take a favored position, while another settles lower or farther along the perch. The flock is always adjusting. Rank can change with age, health, new arrivals, or the loss of a bird. A strong young hen may rise over time. An older bird may become quieter. A newcomer must learn the group slowly, because every flock already has relationships in place. This is why chicken keepers often introduce new birds carefully, sometimes with barriers at first, so the animals can see and hear each other before sharing the same space. Recognition makes this social map possible. Chickens can remember familiar flock members and respond differently to known and unknown birds. They use visual details such as body size, feather pattern, comb shape, and posture. The comb and wattles are especially easy to see because they are bright areas of skin on the head and below the beak. A large red comb can carry information about health, maturity, and condition. Posture adds another layer. A relaxed bird may move with a low, steady rhythm. A tense bird may stretch taller, pause more often, or angle its body away. The eyes also matter. Like many birds, chickens often look at something with one eye at a time, turning the head slightly to inspect food, motion, or another bird. The social map is made from these repeated details. A hen learns who pushes in near the feeder. A young bird learns which adult gives way and which adult does not. A rooster learns the places where hens spread out during the day. The whole flock moves through shared knowledge. When one chicken finds food, others may notice the quick pecking and gather. When a bird gives an alarm call, bodies freeze, crouch, or hurry toward cover. When the sun lowers, the group pulls itself back toward sleep. This kind of order can feel ordinary because it happens quietly, yet it asks a great deal from the animal. A chicken must remember individuals, judge distance, notice signals, track food, avoid danger, and protect its own place inside the group. The flock becomes a moving map of relationships, red combs and brown feathers shifting through dust, straw, shade, and grass. Inside that map, sound carries information faster than movement alone. A bird can call before another bird has seen the danger. A hen can gather chicks before they understand the shape of the threat. A rooster can announce food, warning, place, and presence through different sounds. For an animal living inside such an active social world, the voice becomes part of survival. For an animal living inside such an active social world, sound carries the flock through the day. A chicken yard can seem noisy from the outside. There may be clucks near the feeder, soft murmurs under a shrub, sharp calls from a rooster, and low sounds from a hen gathering her chicks. To human ears, these sounds can blur together. To chickens, many of them carry clear meaning. Birds make sound with an organ called the syrinx. The syrinx sits low in the throat, near the place where the windpipe divides toward the lungs. In mammals, the main voice organ is the larynx, higher in the throat. A bird's syrinx gives it fine control over sound, which is why many birds can sing, call, whistle, chatter, and repeat patterns with great detail. Chickens do not sing like songbirds, yet their voices still carry different messages. A soft contact call helps birds stay aware of one another while they feed. It can sound like a quiet cluck or murmur, the kind of sound that passes gently through a flock as birds scratch, pause, and move again. This matters in grass, brush, straw, or leaf litter, where bodies drift apart by a few feet at a time. A chicken does not need to stare at every flock member every second. Small sounds help maintain the group. Food calls are more active. Roosters often make a special call when they find something worth eating. This behavior is sometimes called tidbitting. A rooster may pick up and drop a piece of food, bob his head, and give repeated low calls to attract hens. The movement and sound together point attention toward the food. Hens also use food-related sounds, especially with chicks. A mother hen can call her young toward small edible pieces on the ground. The chicks gather close, pecking where she pecks, learning through both voice and motion. Alarm calls carry a different weight. A chicken that notices danger can warn others before every bird sees the threat. Roosters are known to give different alarm calls depending on the kind of danger. A hawk overhead creates a different problem from a fox, dog, snake, or human moving across the ground. For danger above, chickens may crouch, freeze, or rush toward cover. For danger on the ground, they may gather, move away, or watch the direction of the threat. The call helps shape the response. A high, urgent sound can tighten the whole flock in an instant. A quiet yard changes. Heads lift, bodies lower. The movement of scratching feet stops. Even young chicks respond to warning sounds. When a hen gives a sharp alarm, chicks may freeze or hide beneath her body. That reaction is vital for small birds near the ground. A chick covered in yellow or brown down has little defense of its own. Its safety depends on staying close, obeying signals, and disappearing quickly into cover or feathers. Other calls belong to stress. A chicken separated from the flock may call loudly. A chick that is cold, lost, or unable to reach the hen may give clear distress peeps. Those calls can bring the mother closer or guide the chick back toward warmth. The sound is small, yet the need behind it is precise. Warmth matters because young chicks cannot control body temperature as well as adult birds. Their down helps, but the hen's body or a heated brooder provides the steady warmth they need. Egg-laying also has its own sounds. Many hens make a loud series of calls around the time they lay. People often call this the egg song. It can ring through a yard after a hen leaves the nest box. The exact purpose may include flock contact, excitement, stress release, or drawing attention away from the nest area. Whatever the cause, the sound marks one of the most important events in chicken life. Courtship has its own signals too. A rooster may lower one wing and move in a small circle near a hen, a display often called wing dancing. His body, feathers, and voice work together. The sounds are part of a wider language of posture, color, movement, and timing. Chicken communication works like a loose vocabulary. It does not need human words to carry information. Food, danger, contact, distress, courtship, laying, location, and rank can all move through the flock by sound. The calls are practical. They help birds stay together, find resources, protect chicks, and respond quickly to change. A flock at peace is still full of messages. Low clucks pass under the louder sounds of the world. A rooster watches the sky. A hen answers her chicks. Another bird murmurs while scratching through straw. The voices reveal a life tuned to small details, where sound, sight, motion, and memory are woven together. To understand those voices more deeply, the chicken's senses must come into view, because every call begins with something noticed before humans have noticed it. A shadow crossing the grass, a beetle moving under straw, a rooster lifting his head toward the sky, a hen pausing because one small shape on the ground has changed. For chickens, vision is one of the main ways the world becomes understandable. Their eyes sit on the sides of the head, which gives them a wide field of view. A human looking forward sees best in the center, where both eyes overlap strongly. A chicken sees much farther around its body, with broad side vision that helps it watch for movement while feeding. This design makes sense for a ground bird. A chicken often lowers its head to peck, scratch, and search. While the beak is close to the soil, danger may come from the air or from the edge of cover. A hawk above, a fox near a fence line, or a dog moving through grass can matter within a few seconds. Wide vision gives the bird more warning. The head movements of a chicken also help its sight. A chicken often walks with a quick forward motion of the head, then a brief still pause. This motion is called head bobbing, though the head is doing more than bobbing for no reason. During the still moment, the eyes can hold the scene steadier. During the forward motion, the body catches up. That rhythm helps the bird judge distance and movement while walking. To a person, the motion can look funny. To the chicken, it is part of seeing clearly on a moving body. Each eye can also take in information in a slightly different way. Birds often use one eye at a time to inspect objects. A chicken may tilt its head so one eye faces a seed, a worm, or an unfamiliar object. This happens because the side placement of the eyes gives each eye a strong view of its own side. The bird turns the head to place the most important detail where vision is sharpest. Color adds another layer. Humans usually have 3 kinds of cone cells in the eyes. Cone cells are the light-sensitive cells that help detect color in bright conditions. Chickens have 4 main types of single cone cells, giving them a different color world from ours. One of those types can detect ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light is a kind of light beyond violet, outside the normal human range. People cannot see it without special equipment. For many birds, ultraviolet patterns can be part of ordinary sight. This means a chicken may notice signals in feathers, skin, food, or surroundings that look plain to us. The comb and wattles on a chicken's head may also carry visual information. A healthy comb is often bright and red because of blood flow near the surface of the skin. Changes in color, size, or condition can signal health, maturity, or stress. Other chickens can notice those details during social interactions. A flock is full of small visual messages. Feather position, posture, eye direction, and movement speed all help birds read one another. Light itself affects chicken biology. Like many birds, hens respond strongly to day length. Longer daylight can support the hormones involved in egg laying. Commercial farms often manage light carefully because a hen's reproductive system reacts to the number of hours of light reaching her body each day. Even backyard keepers notice seasonal changes. In many breeds, egg laying slows during short winter days and rises again when spring light lengthens. The eye is connected to more than seeing objects. It helps the bird's body measure time. A simple yard can hold two different worlds at once. To a person, it may look like grass, dirt, a fence, a feeder, and a patch of shade. To a chicken, the same space can be filled with tiny movements, color contrasts, ultraviolet signals, shifting shadows, social cues, and possible warnings. A dry leaf may hide an insect. A sudden dark shape may mean danger. A bright comb may mark rank or readiness. A narrow gap under a shrub may lead to safety. The chicken's sight turns the ground into a detailed field of choices. Yet vision is only part of the animal's contact with the world. The same bird that watches so carefully also tests its surroundings with feet, beak, feathers, skin, and dust. The ground is seen first, then opened, touched, tasted, and worked by the whole body. The ground is seen first, then opened by the body. A chicken does much of its work with its feet. Each foot has 4 toes in most breeds, with 3 pointing forward and 1 pointing backward. That backward toe helps with balance, especially when the bird grips a perch at night. On the ground, the forward toes spread across soil, straw, mulch, grass, or fallen leaves. Then the bird scratches. 1 foot pulls backward. The body shifts. The head dips toward the open patch. A seed, root, beetle, ant, worm, or tiny stone may appear where the surface has been disturbed. This scratching motion is ancient and practical. The red junglefowl use the same basic movement in forest litter, where food often hid beneath leaves and loose soil. Domestic chickens carry that habit into gardens, farmyards, barn floors, and backyard runs. A flock can turn over a patch of ground surprisingly quickly. Loose mulch becomes uneven. Straw spreads outward. Fresh soil appears beneath the top layer. For the chicken, this is exploration and feeding at the same time. Small stones matter too. Chickens do not have teeth. When they swallow hard seeds or fibrous plant pieces, the food later reaches the gizzard, a strong muscular organ that grinds food with the help of grit. Grit means small hard particles such as stones, sand, or crushed granite. A chicken pecking at bits of stone may look as if it has mistaken rock for food. Its body is gathering tools for digestion. The beak continues the work started by the feet. A chicken's beak is made of keratin, the same tough material found in human fingernails and bird claws. It grows slowly over time and wears down through pecking, rubbing, eating, and grooming. The beak is sensitive, especially near the tip. A chicken uses it to test texture, lift small objects, choose food, sip water, arrange nest material, and clean feathers. The movements are quick because the bird is constantly sampling its surroundings. A shiny speck in the dirt, a pale seed near the feeder, a dark insect moving under a leaf, a new object placed in the yard. The beak taps, lifts, pulls, and sorts. Feather care also depends on the beak. Chickens preen by drawing feathers through the beak to clean and align them. Preening helps keep feathers smooth, flexible, and better able to hold warmth. Near the base of the tail is a small oil gland called the uropygial gland. The bird can touch this gland with its beak and spread the oil through its feathers while grooming. This oil helps maintain feather condition. A chicken that has just finished preening may look calmer and neater, with feathers lying in a smoother pattern along the body. Dust bathing adds another kind of care. A chicken will often choose dry soil, sand, ash, or loose dirt. It lowers its body into the hollow. Its wings loosen. Its feet kick dust upward. The bird rolls slightly, works the dry material through its feathers, then pauses in the shallow bowl it has made. The scene can look lazy, almost like sunbathing. Inside the feathers, the dust is doing useful work. Dry particles help absorb extra oil and moisture. They may also make life harder for mites and lice, tiny parasites that can live on the skin or among feathers. After bathing, the chicken often stands, shakes, and sends a soft cloud of dust into the air. The feathers settle again, cleaner and fluffed. Feathers themselves are more complex than they appear. Each feather has a central shaft with smaller branches called barbs. On many feathers, even smaller hooks help the barbs hold together in a flat surface. This structure traps air close to the body, helping the bird stay warm. In rain or cool wind, feathers create a barrier between the outside world and the warm skin beneath. They also change how a chicken looks to other birds. Raised neck feathers can signal tension. Smooth feathers can show calm. Bright plumage can help a rooster display strength, health, and maturity. The chicken's body is built around contact with the ground. Feet open the surface. The beak tests what appears. Feathers protect the warm body above the dust. This animal is a bird, yet so much of its life happens below the wings, close to soil, straw, shade, and scattered food. That makes the wings feel even more interesting, because they belong to an animal shaped by flight ancestry, while daily life keeps pulling it back toward the earth. The wings belong to an animal with flight in its ancestry, even when daily life keeps it near the ground. A chicken can fly in a limited way. Most domestic chickens can lift themselves into the air for short bursts, especially when startled. The flight is usually loud and quick. The wings beat hard. The body rises with effort. A fence, low branch, coop rail, or raised perch may be enough of a destination. Then the bird drops back down, feet reaching for something solid. This kind of flight is very different from the long, smooth travel of a gull over water or a goose crossing a continent. A chicken's flight is practical and brief. It helps the bird escape sudden danger, reach a sleeping place, or move over an obstacle. That pattern makes sense when the red junglefowl is remembered. Wild junglefowl live close to the ground during the day, searching through leaves and soil. At night, they often roost in trees. A bird that sleeps above ground needs enough flight to reach a branch. It also needs enough power to burst away from a snake, civet, cat, or other predator moving through the undergrowth. Long-distance flight would cost energy that the bird may not need for its way of life. A short, forceful lift can be enough. Domestic chickens still carry this older design. Their breast muscles power the wings. Their feathers create lift. Their hollow bones and air sacs belong to the larger bird body plan. Air sacs are thin internal spaces connected to the lungs that help birds move air through the body efficiently. Even chickens, which spend most of life on the ground, have this bird breathing system. The body still remembers flight in its structure. Yet many domestic chickens have changed in ways that make sustained flying harder. Human breeding favored different goals in different times and places. Some chickens were selected for more eggs. Some were selected for heavier bodies. Some were selected for broad breasts, calm behavior, unusual feathers, large combs, or striking colors. A heavy bird with a rounded body has more weight to lift. A chicken bred for meat may grow so large so quickly that flying becomes difficult. Some modern meat-type chickens reach market weight in only several weeks, carrying far more body mass than a wild junglefowl. Their wings remain, though their bodies are built around a different human purpose. Even many egg-laying breeds fly only a little. They may flutter onto a fence or up into a low tree if they are light enough. Bantams, which are small chicken breeds, often fly better than large, heavy breeds because there is less weight for the wings to lift. A small bantam can sometimes reach a high perch with surprising ease. A large breed such as a Brahma or Orpington usually stays much closer to the ground. The difference shows how body size changes ability. Wing clipping also reveals the limits of chicken flight. Some keepers trim the long flight feathers on one wing to make it harder for a chicken to clear fences. This does not hurt when done properly because mature feathers have no feeling in the outer shaft. The uneven wing surface makes lift less balanced. The bird may still hop, flap, and glide down from low places, but higher escape becomes more difficult. The fact that clipping works at all shows that chickens still have enough flight ability to matter. Their wings also serve purposes beyond leaving the ground. A hen spreads her wings slightly to cover chicks. A rooster may lower one wing during courtship. A bird losing balance may flap to steady itself. During dust bathing, wings loosen and work dry soil into the feathers. When a chicken runs, its wings may lift a little, helping with balance and sudden turns. The wings remain useful even when the sky is rarely used. A chicken, therefore, lives in a gentle in-between state. Its body is bird-shaped, feathered, and winged. Its habits are grounded, scratching, walking, roosting, and returning to familiar shelter. A flock may spend an entire day with wings folded neatly against the body. Then, in one startling moment, a shadow passes overhead, and several birds burst upward with a rush of feathers and air. The ancient ability appears, brief and imperfect, then settles again into dust. Human hands shape that balance even further. As chickens followed people into farms, villages, gardens, shows, and markets, their bodies began changing in many directions at once. As chickens followed people, their bodies began to split into many visible forms. This happened through selective breeding. Selective breeding means people choose which animals reproduce because they have traits people want to continue. A calm hen may be kept because she is easy to handle. A strong rooster may be chosen because he guards the flock well. A bird with unusual feathers may be bred because people find it beautiful. Across many generations, those choices can reshape an animal. The ancestral red junglefowl was a lean forest bird, built for quick movement, alert eyes, short flight, and life among trees. Domestic chickens still carry that old pattern underneath. Human preference has stretched the pattern in many directions. Some chickens became tiny. Bantams are small chickens, often kept for gardens, show, or companionship. Many bantams weigh only 1 or 2 pounds, light enough to perch easily and move quickly through a yard. A Seabright bantam, developed in Britain in the early 1800s, is known for its small body and laced feathers, where each feather is edged with a darker line. The bird looks delicate, almost drawn with a fine pen. Other chickens became enormous. The Jersey Giant was developed in the United States in the late 1800s, partly as a large table bird, before modern meat breeds took over. A large rooster can weigh more than 10 pounds. Beside a bantam, a Jersey Giant shows how far human selection can move one species in size alone. Both birds are chickens. Their bodies carry the same basic plan. Their scale feels almost like two different versions of the same idea. Egg-laying created its own kind of bird. The white leghorn, which became famous through Mediterranean and later American breeding, is a light, active chicken, known for producing many white eggs. A good laying hen from a production line can lay well over 200 eggs in a year under managed conditions. That number is far beyond what a wild junglefowl would normally produce. In the wild, laying too many eggs would drain energy and attract risk. Around humans, with steady food, shelter, and protection, egg production became one of the main traits people selected. Meat breeding moved the body in a different direction. Modern meat chickens, often called broilers, have been selected for rapid growth, broad breast muscles, and efficient use of feed. Their shape is heavier and more rounded than the wild ancestor. The same bird family that once moved lightly through forest leaf litter could, through human choice, become a body built mainly around growth. Hardiness shaped other breeds. In cold regions, people favored chickens that could handle winter, forage well, and keep laying through difficult weather. Breeds such as the Plymouth Rock and Rhode Island Red became common in North America because they were useful farm birds, known for steady eggs, solid bodies, and practical temperaments. Their feathers, combs, and body size were shaped by work, climate, and household needs. Ornamental breeding followed beauty and surprise. The silkie has soft feathers that lack the firm hooks found in many normal feathers, giving it a fluffy texture, almost like fur. It also has dark skin, feathered feet, and a rounded shape that has made it popular as a gentle backyard bird. The Polish chicken carries a large crest of feathers on its head, sometimes so full that it partly blocks the bird's vision. The Cochin has heavy feathering down the legs and feet, making it look soft and rounded from body to toes. In Japan, the Onagadori became famous for roosters with extremely long tail feathers, sometimes growing many feet when carefully protected from breaking. Comb shape also changed under human care. Some chickens have a single comb, rising like a red saw along the head. Others have rose combs, pea combs, walnut combs, or cushion combs. These shapes can affect appearance, and in cold climates, smaller combs may reduce the risk of frostbite because less exposed skin meets freezing air. Every breed is a record of preference. A farmer's need for eggs, a village's climate, a show breeder's eye for color, a household's wish for a calm bird. Over centuries, one forest line became hundreds of domestic forms. The chicken became a living material that people shaped again and again, until its diversity pointed towards something even larger. A bird changed this much by human hands could also be raised on a scale almost too large to picture. A bird changed this much by human hands could also be raised on a scale almost too large to picture. The chicken became one of the central animals in the human food system because its body could turn feed into food with unusual speed. A cow grows slowly, needs large amounts of land or harvested forage, and takes years to reach full size. A chicken grows inside a much smaller space, matures quickly, and can produce food in two different ways. One path is the egg. A laying hen can give a household a steady source of food without the bird being removed from the flock. A good modern laying hen may produce more than 200 eggs in a year when she has enough feed, clean water, shelter, health, and light. Some specialized commercial hens can produce even more. That is a very different rhythm from animals that produce meat only once. The hen becomes a daily or near daily part of the household. A person can walk to a nest box in the morning and find a warm egg resting in straw. The shell may be white, brown, cream, blue, or green depending on the breed. Inside, the egg carries protein, fat, vitamin B12, selenium, iodine, and choline. Choline is a nutrient used by the body to support cell membranes and normal brain function. A large chicken egg weighs about 50 grams and contains roughly 6 grams of protein. It is small enough to hold between 2 fingers, yet rich enough to become a meal, an ingredient, or the beginning of a chick, if fertilized and incubated. This compact design made eggs valuable across many cultures. They could be boiled, baked into bread, stirred into soup, preserved in lime water, cured in salt, or carried to market in baskets. In a household without refrigeration, eggs still needed care, yet they were easier to store for a short time than fresh milk or raw meat. A hen laying near the home turned ordinary grain, scraps, insects, and garden leftovers into something cleanly packaged by the bird's own body. The second path is meat. Chickens are smaller than cattle, pigs, sheep, or goats. So one bird could be prepared for a family meal without needing to preserve a huge amount afterward. That mattered before freezers. A large animal could provide a great deal of food, although it also required salting, smoking, drying, sharing, or rapid cooking. A chicken fit smaller kitchens and smaller occasions. As farming changed, that usefulness grew into a much larger system. Modern meat chickens have been selected for fast growth and efficient feed use. In managed conditions, a meat chicken can often turn less than 2 kilograms of feed into about 1 kilogram of live body weight. The exact number changes with breed, feed, housing, health, and farming system. Even so, chickens generally convert feed into animal protein more efficiently than many larger livestock animals. That efficiency helps explain their huge role in modern diets. A backyard flock and an industrial flock can feel like completely different worlds. In one place, a family may know each hen by color, sound, and habit. A red hen uses the same nest box every morning. A speckled hen waits near the back door for vegetable scraps. The rooster calls when a crow passes over the trees. Eggs arrive slowly, one by one, shaped by weather, feed, daylight, and the condition of each bird. In another place, thousands of chickens may live inside long buildings designed for feeding, watering, ventilation, and disease control. There, the scale belongs to cities, supermarkets, restaurants, school lunches, and global trade. The same species sits at both ends of the picture. One hen in a straw-lined nest. A vast supply chain feeding millions of people. The global rise of chicken also reflects its fit with many food traditions. Chicken appears in soups, stews, rice dishes, roasted meals, noodle bowls, curries, sandwiches, dumplings, and festival foods. Eggs move just as widely, crossing breakfast, baking, sauces, desserts, noodles, and street food. A single animal entered daily life through thousands of recipes. The food system grew because the bird was biologically suited to it. Fast growth, regular eggs, small size, flexible feeding, easy transport, steady reproduction. Human selection amplified every one of those traits until chickens became one of the most common food animals on Earth. Yet even inside that enormous scale, the animal itself never fully disappears. In many yards, villages, and homes, a chicken is still a known presence. It has a voice, a pattern, a favorite place to dust bathe, and a way of running toward the person who brings the feed. A chicken with a voice, a pattern, and a favorite patch of dust can become more than part of a food system. In many places, chickens live close enough to people that their individual habits become easy to know. One hen may hurry toward the gate when she hears a familiar latch. Another may wait near the compost pile because that is where vegetable scraps often appear. A bold rooster may walk ahead of the flock, chest lifted, watching the edge of the yard. A quieter hen may keep to shade beneath a shrub, stepping out only when the space feels calm. These differences are part of why backyard keepers often describe chickens as having personalities. Personality means a pattern of behavior that stays fairly consistent over time. A curious chicken may investigate a new bucket, boot, or garden tool. A cautious chicken may pause farther away, watching before she approaches. A social bird may follow familiar people through the yard, especially if those people often bring feed. A more independent bird may stay near the fence line, searching for insects in its own routine. These patterns matter because chickens can recognize familiar individuals. They learn the sight of the person who feeds them. They learn sounds connected to daily care, such as a door opening, grain shaken in a scoop, or footsteps on a path. Over time, a flock may gather before the food is visible. The birds are responding to repeated experience, memory, and expectation. This can feel surprisingly personal to the people caring for them. A chicken may turn its head and look up with one eye. It may make a low sound when approached. It may crouch to be picked up if it is used to handling. Some hens will sit calmly on a lap, especially when raised gently from chicks. Others prefer space and choose contact only when food is involved. Both responses fit the animal's nature. A chicken is still a prey animal, shaped by alertness and caution. Trust grows through repeated calm moments. The companion side of chickens is easiest to see in small flocks. With 6 birds in a backyard, each one becomes distinct. The black hen with green shine in her feathers. The pale hen that chooses the same nest box every afternoon. The speckled bird that talks constantly while scratching. The older hen that moves slowly but still claims a favorite roost. People begin to notice who is missing, who is molting, who is acting tired, and who has found a clever way into the garden. Molting is the process of shedding old feathers and growing new ones. During a molt, hens may look ragged for a while and often lay fewer eggs because feather growth takes energy and protein. Care creates attention. Attention creates familiarity. Familiarity creates attachment. This closeness has a long history. In villages and farmyards, chickens often lived near kitchens, gardens, wells, barns, and doorways. Children fed them scraps. Adults collected eggs. Roosters marked the morning with their calls. Hens led chicks through dust and grass. The birds were useful, yet they also became part of the daily sound and movement of home. That same feeling continues in many modern backyards. A coop may stand beside a garage or under a tree. The flock may have names, routines, medical care, treats, and protected space. Some people keep older hens long after their egg-laying slows. A bird once valued for production becomes valued for presence. The two views of the chicken can live beside each other because human relationships with animals are often layered. A chicken can be livestock in one setting. It can be a companion in another. It can be both for the same family at different moments. The animal itself remains a living bird with hunger, fear, comfort, memory, social bonds, and daily habits. Recognizing that does not erase its practical role in human history. It makes the relationship more complete. The chicken became close to humans because its biology made closeness possible. Its food needs overlapped with our scraps and grains. Its social nature made it manageable near homes. Its eggs tied it to kitchens and households. Its alert voice made it part of the soundscape of villages. Its individual behavior made people notice it as more than a moving shape in the yard. By now, the chicken's success begins to feel less accidental. It grew from a meeting between a forest bird and human settlement into something practical, emotional, historical, and biological all at once. That closeness spread across centuries until the chicken became one of the most common and most strangely overlooked animals on the planet. The chicken became one of the most common animals on Earth by fitting into human life from many directions at once. Its success began with biology. A hen could produce eggs again and again when food, light, shelter, and health supported her body. Those eggs were small enough to gather in a basket, rich enough to feed a family, and simple enough to cook in countless ways. A chicken could also eat widely. Seeds, insects, scraps, greens, worms, fruit pieces, and spilled grain all became part of its daily search. That flexible diet helped it live beside farms, kitchens, gardens, barns, markets, and village paths. A cow needs large amounts of pasture or stored feed. A horse needs space, training, and strong care. A chicken can live much closer to the doorway of an ordinary home. Its small body made that closeness possible. A few birds could sleep in a simple coop, scratch through a yard by day, and return to a roost when evening came. Their social nature helped people manage them. Chickens follow routines. They gather around food. They react to alarm calls. They learn familiar places. A flock can become attached to a shelter, a feeding sound, a water source, and the safe shape of its own group. That made chickens far easier to keep than many solitary wild birds. Reproduction added speed. A fertilized egg can hatch after about 21 days of steady warmth. A young hen can begin laying within the same year, depending on breed, season, and care. Across human history, that meant a small beginning could grow into a living supply of food and future birds. 2 hens and a rooster could become a larger flock. A larger flock could be divided, traded, gifted, sold, or carried to a new settlement. Portability gave the chicken even more reach. Dogs traveled with humans as hunters, guards, and companions. Cattle reshaped farming by providing meat, milk, labor, hides, and wealth. Horses changed transport, warfare, farming, and communication across huge distances. Chickens moved more quietly than all of them. They rarely pulled carts or guarded houses. Their power came from small daily usefulness. A bird in a basket, an egg in straw, a rooster marking dawn, a hen leading chicks under the edge of a fence. That quiet usefulness spread across continents. Chickens traveled through South and Southeast Asia, then farther along trade routes, sea crossings, and expanding empires. They entered Mediterranean farms, Roman rituals, European villages, African households, island settlements, and eventually modern cities. Today, their numbers are enormous. At any given time, there are many billions of chickens alive around the world, far more than the number of humans. Their bodies fill food systems, rural yards, research farms, backyard coops, breeding shows, and family gardens. This scale can be difficult to picture. A person may know one neighborhood dog by name. A horse in a field may stand out because of its size and beauty. A cow herd is visible from the road. Chickens often blend into the background because they are so common and so close to ordinary food. Their abundance hides their strangeness. The chicken carries deep evolution in its bones. Its feathered body belongs to the surviving dinosaur branch. Its wild roots reach back to red junglefowl moving through Asian forest edges. Its domestication may have begun near grain, rice fields, and human settlements. Its egg is built in a precise order through the hen's body, with yolk, albumin, membranes, shell, pores, and protective coating. Its chick hatches alert, down-covered, and ready to follow. Its flock life depends on memory, rank, voice, vision, and recognition. Selective breeding changed its size, shape, color, egg output, temperament, feather pattern, and growth. The whole story gathers inside an animal that many people see only briefly. A bird beside a barn, a carton of eggs in a refrigerator, a rooster drawn on a sign, a hen crossing a patch of grass. The chicken is common enough to disappear, while its history reaches through forests, farms, ships, kitchens, laboratories, and backyards. After all that movement, the clearest way to understand it may be to return to one quiet bird at the end of the day. One hen stepping toward the roost as the light fades, carrying the whole long story inside her small, warm body. The ground has cooled. The feeder is quiet. Dust has settled along the edge of the run, and the last soft clucks pass between birds, finding their places for the night. She lifts one foot onto the wooden perch, then the other. Her toes curl around the rounded edge. Her body lowers slowly. Feathers loosen around the warmth of her skin. Nearby, another hen shifts once, settles again, and tucks her head close. The scene is small enough to miss. A few birds in a coop, a little straw beneath them. The last blue-grey light outside the door. Yet this quiet shape holds an immense history. Inside the bones of the chicken is the story of birds, the surviving branch of the dinosaur line. Around 66 million years ago, most dinosaurs disappeared after a great impact changed the planet. The bird line continued, carrying feathers, hard-shelled eggs, hollow bones, warm bodies, and the old two-legged design into a different world. A chicken resting on a perch is part of that survival. Its body is softened by time, yet the ancient pattern remains. Far later, that dinosaur story took the form of the red junglefowl. Gallus moved through forest edges in South and Southeast Asia, scratching through leaves, eating seeds and insects, calling to flock members and flying just far enough to reach branches above danger. The modern hen still carries that forest memory. She scratches even when food waits in a bowl. She perches even when walls protect her. A sudden shadow can still make her pause, lift her head, and listen. Human life changed the path of this bird. Early farms created new edges between forest and settlement. Rice fields, stored grain, spilled seeds, disturbed soil, and human scraps may have drawn wild junglefowl closer to villages. The change unfolded through repeated contact, calm birds surviving near people, and people slowly favoring birds that stayed close, bred well, and fit the rhythms of daily life. From those beginnings, chickens traveled. They moved in baskets, boats, markets, farms, villages, islands, and empires. Their small size made them easy to carry. Their flexible diet let them live beside humans. Their eggs made them valuable in a way that renewed itself. A hen could build an egg inside her body in about a day, adding yolk, white, membranes, shell, color, and a thin protective bloom. That egg could rest in a nest as food, or under warmth for about 21 days. It could become a chick. Inside the shell, the chick used the yolk for energy. While blood vessels spread, the heart began to beat. Limbs formed, down grew, and the beak developed its temporary egg tooth. When the chick hatched, it came into the world with open eyes, soft down, working legs, and a strong drive to follow. Learning began almost at once. The chick listened to the hen, watched where she pecked, stayed near warmth, and began mapping the world through sound, movement, and repeated experience. That early awareness became part of the adult flock. Chickens recognize familiar birds. They learn routines. They respond to rank, warning calls, food calls, and the small signals moving through a group. A flock is a living social map, made from posture, voice, memory, color, and distance. The bird on the roost has lived inside that map all day. She has watched the ground with eyes tuned to motion and color. She has scratched with strong feet, tested food with a sensitive beak, cleaned her feathers, dust-bathed, and moved with the quiet awareness of a prey animal that also belongs to a group. Her wings, folded now against her sides, still carry the old story of flight. Most chickens rise only in short bursts, enough to reach a perch, clear a barrier, or escape sudden danger. Human breeding made many chickens heavier, calmer, more productive, or more decorative. Tiny bantams, heavy meat birds, high-laying hens, crested breeds, feather-footed breeds, and long-tailed roosters, they came from the same deep line shaped by human preference. Across the world, chickens became food animals, household animals, farm animals, research animals, show animals, and companions. Their simplicity comes from familiarity. We see them often, so the wonder becomes easy to overlook. Yet the ordinary hen settling into sleep contains dinosaur ancestry, forest instinct, egg biology, social intelligence, human history, and the quiet closeness of shared life. The coop grows darker. The flock becomes still. A warm, feathered body rests on a wooden perch, ancient and familiar at once, carrying the long story softly into the night.